Hello friends, welcome to a new topic today. In this lecture, we are going to learn about occupational lung diseases. So, what are we going to see here? We are going to learn about occupational lung diseases. So, in the occupational lung diseases, if you see, okay, so first these are the pictures which are taken from Netter's Atlas. So, the first here, this is the pictures which are showing silicosis. Okay, so these are the pictures showing silicosis. So what are you going to see here? See, in this silicosis you see many nodules which are seen here. See, these are the silicosis nodules, which are simple silicosis with numerous small nodules. So these are the many small nodules which are seen, which are simple silicosis. Okay, so these are the simple silicosis with numerous nodules. Okay, next after this silicosis, if you see here, this is the nodule which is H&E stain, which is showing accumulations, and here you will also see mononuclear cells, okay, and whorls of collagen. I know it's not much clear, so let me tell you, these are the whorls of collagen which are seen, and here these are the many mononuclear cells which are seen. So here you see mononuclear cells, and you see concentric whorls which look like onion skin appearance of collagen fibrils. Okay, so this is the histological feature of silicosis. So first we will learn some important things of about silicosis also. So what is silicosis? Silicosis can occur due to two things. So in silica we have two important things which can lead to silicosis. One, it can be crystalline silica we have, and we also have amorphous silica. Okay, crystalline silica causes more fibrosis, whereas amorphous silica causes less fibrosis than crystalline silica. So if you see, this silicosis enters the alveoli, and the silicotic silica element gets trapped in the alveoli. Okay, first these are engulfed. So if this is the just a minute, yeah, if this is the silica, if think that this is the silica, this enters the alveoli, and in the alveoli there are alveolar macrophages. These macrophages will trap the silica, okay, and these are engulfed by these macrophages. Okay, these macrophages will activate interleukin 1, and once interleukin 1 has been activated, this interleukin 1 will activate the fibrosis and also necrosis, and this fibrosis and necrosis will result in the present manifestation of, in the middle you will have necrosis, and the nodules which are seen, these are the accumulations and necrosis with silicotic accumulations, and which are surrounded by obviously fibrosis. Okay, so this is one picture, and if you see the radiograph here, you see this opacities in the upper zone, this part. Okay, and these are the calcification, these are the hilar lymph nodes. Okay, these are the hilar lymph nodes which are enlarged here, these opacities which are seen in the upper lobe. So these are actually characteristic of silicosis. Okay, so this is the characteristic X-ray with silicosis, which has simple silicosis which has upper zone opacities and also enlarged hilar lymph nodes, and these hilar lymph nodes are calcified. That is the reason normally you don't see lymph nodes in X-ray, but here you are able to visualize the lymph nodes in X-ray because of calcification. Okay, this shows the CT scan. In CT scan, if you see, many central masses, all these masses which are seen. Okay, so all these are nothing but silicotic nodules. Okay, so all these are silicotic nodules which you are seeing here. So you can see numerous silicotic nodules in this picture, and if you go down here in this chest X-ray, you can see here these are the hilar lymph nodes which are calcified. Normally you are not able to see, you cannot see the lymph nodes in this part, actually, not this one, this part. See how this is a vessel. See the the consistency, see this consistency. Okay, this dark color, this gray color, this gray color, this gray color, all this gray color are almost similar, right? So this is what do we say, heart or blood vessels, whereas this part, if you see, just a minute, yeah, this one you can't see it. Okay, I'll just zoom in a little more so that it becomes even more clearer. See, now you can see this one, and here also, and here, these white colored, these are the silicotic nodules which you can appreciate in this figure. Okay, so those are the hilar lymph nodes which are subcarinal, which have undergone fibrosis. So these are the lymph nodes which have undergone fibrosis. Okay, that is eggshell calcification is seen. Then if you see what is this picture, in this picture you can see many nodules, not just one. See, all this is nodules, all these, everything, all these are nodules. So many nodules combine together to form large conglomerate masses of dense fibrosis, and this is called as chronic silicosis, complicated silicosis. This is called as, the term for this, the term given is complicated silicosis with massive fibrosis. Okay, now, so once we have learned about the, you have seen these things, right? You have hilar lymph nodes also. Okay, in the next, this is silicotuberculosis. If you remember, this silicosis has been associated with, if you see the silicosis, this is most commonly associated with tuberculosis. Okay, then if silicosis is associated with tuberculosis, we call it as silicotuberculosis, and actually this is more common. And this silicotuberculosis will have two things. One, has the silicosis, there will be nodules, and in the tuberculosis, like the tuberculosis pathognomic is cavities, so you will see cavities also. So these are the cavities which you see, and you are even seeing the nodules. Okay, nodules pertaining to silicosis, and you are even seeing cavities due to tuberculosis. Then this is the X-ray feature. Here you see this has not much difference. See, if it is silicosis, normal silicosis, you should have this hilar lymphadenopathy, which I have told you. But here there is no hilar lymphadenopathy. What do you see here? Here only this part of opacification and this part of opacification. So it's actually difficult to distinguish silicosis with tuberculosis and actual only tuberculosis, or from other X-rays. So as a result, in X-ray you can't differentiate the silicosis and tuberculosis. Okay, next, what is this? Actually, this is rheumatoid pneumoconiosis. Okay, what is rheumatoid pneumoconiosis? What does this mean? That is, it is associated with rheumatoid arthritis. If rheumatoid arthritis is associated with pneumoconiosis, then we call it as rheumatoid pneumoconiosis. So here I would just like to show you the histological feature. So this histological feature contains the following things. So it has this central zone. Okay, this central zone, it has this central zone of necrotic cells, number one. Okay, these central zone of necrotic cells are surrounded by the rim of collagen. So this is the rim of collagen which is seen. This is collagen. Okay, this collagen is again surrounded by the one more collagen. So you see again one more collagen here, or you can see the necrotic cell also. So here the main thing is you will have inflammatory cells surrounded by collagen, and after this you can have either necrosis or you can have again collagen also. So these are the clefts which you see in between. So this is the Kaplan nodule, this whole unit which you call it as Kaplan nodule. Okay, so these Kaplan nodules are actually pathognomic of Kaplan syndrome, that is rheumatoid arthritis with pneumoconiosis. So here you can see you can see these are the silicotic deposits which you can see. Okay, this is a necrotic thing. Okay, and you are even seeing Kaplan nodules, or all these are Kaplan nodules. Okay, these are the silicotic nodules, these are the Kaplan nodules which you can see. Okay, so this is Kaplan syndrome. Then these, if you see in the X-ray also you can see these nodules. Okay, these nodules are again Kaplan nodules which you can see in the X-ray again. So this is about rheumatoid arthritis with pneumoconiosis, which is called as Kaplan syndrome. Now this is about the coal workers pneumoconiosis. We call this as, one minute, I'll write here, coal workers pneumoconiosis. So what are we going to see in this coal workers pneumoconiosis? In this coal workers pneumoconiosis, the main important thing is all these depositions. See, you can see what are all these. 1 minute, yeah, all these are the deposits of the coal dust. So all this is nothing but coal dust which has been deposited. Okay, if you see the magnified view here, you can see these coal dust macules or nodules which you can see here. Okay, so all these are the coal dust macules and nodules which will which is coal workers pneumoconiosis. So if you see, these are small. If when you call them as see, I said there will be nodules and there will be macules. So when do you call them as nodules? When do you call them as macules? We call something as macules if these are less than 5 millimeters. If these deposits or foci are less than 5 millimeters, then we call it as macules. If these are more than 5 millimeters, or if they are palpable actually, then we call it as nodules. Okay, now what do you see these microscopically? So this is the microscopic picture of, let me highlight this here, you see macules and nodules. Okay, so this is the microscopic pictures of coal workers pneumoconiosis. Okay, here there is progressive massive fibrosis is seen. So here what are you going to see? You are seeing a big nodule. See, this is this big. This will be generally definitely more than 1 centimeter, or it can be palpated also. Okay, so this is the big nodule which you see. Here you see this black pigmentation, this black pigmentation which you are seeing is the coal pigment. Okay, this black pigmentation is present in the wall of the bronchiole also, and also in the interstitium. Okay, the bronchiole and even the pulmonary vessel, all those are thickened, and you will also see alveoli surrounding the scar which is dilated. So if you see, these are the alveoli which are surrounding this, which are actually dilated. Okay, so this is the thing which you see in coal workers pneumoconiosis. So here you can see the coal nodule. Okay, and also you see interspersed collagen fibers. Okay, and fibrosis. And here what are you going to see? These are the lesions which you are seeing. These are the multiple nodules which you see these. Okay, all these are the multiple nodules which you see. So sometimes we call them as angel wings, because they are most commonly involved in the upper lobe and they are massive, so they are called as the angel wings. So this is about the coal workers pneumoconiosis. Then so next, what does this show? This is the asbestosis. If you see this, what are you seeing here? This is the picture of asbestosis. And here, what is asbestosis? When do you call it asbestosis? We have asbestos occurs due to exposure of many things, like exposure of cryosite, amosite, or anthophyllin, or crocidolite. So all these. Okay, even here the pathogenesis is similar, where there is exposure of asbestos. Okay, these asbestos are actually ingested by macrophages. Okay, once they are injected by macrophages, this will also activate interleukin 1, which leads to again fibroblast proliferation, leading to fibrosis. So the pathogenesis of all these is almost common. So because there is fibrosis, this macrophages deposits this asbestos gets deposited as either dumbbell shaped manner, or they are even deposited as beaded thing, which are seen bluish in color in purple blue stain. Okay, there is one more type of asbestosis also, which is called as pleural plaque asbestosis. What is pleural plaque asbestosis? Here also you will see the asbestos nodules, but the pathognomic here is the asbestos nodules are actually seen along the pleural surface, most commonly in the anterolateral and posterolateral part of parietal pleura. If you see these same asbestos nodules, then you call it as pleural plaques. So let us see the images which you see here. See, in this picture images, you can see these are the asbestos bodies which you are seeing, which are dumbbell shaped bodies. Okay, these are also called as ferruginous bodies. Okay, so these are the asbestos bodies or ferruginous bodies which you are seeing here in the asbestosis. Okay, then if you see, you can even see this is the big ferruginous body which you are seeing here. Okay, and what is this long thin fiber which you are seeing here? This is the fiber of amphibole asbestos. Okay, so you will also have hemosiderin also. What is this stain with which it is this stain, or what is this stain? This is Prussian blue stain. In Prussian blue stain you can see these asbestos bodies has blue in color. Okay, so this is about the asbestosis. Now after asbestosis, the next disorder is, yeah, even this is asbestosis. So in this you can see, in this asbestosis, see, I have said pleural plaque asbestosis, right? What is pleural plaques? Here in the pleura also you will see the nodules, then we call it as we have this pleural plaques. Okay, the nodules which are present on the wall of the pleura, on the posterolateral surface, especially the parietal pleura, we call it as pleural plaques. So here in this picture also you can see these pleural plaques which are seen. Okay, so here you see pleural plaques, pleural plaques are seen on the parietal pleura. So this is the chest radiograph which is showing small irregular peripheral opacities, that is in the lower lobe. See, this peripheral opacities are seen in the lower lobe, and even here see all these opacities are due to asbestosis. Then this is the CT chest where you see this thing, all these opacities. Okay, all these opacities are actually due to asbestosis. It's difficult to distinguish all these features, but based on the history and the given information you can correlate it. So if you see, this is the chest CT again. Here you can see what are these calcifications, and also remember yeah, you can see all these. Okay, so these are the calcifications which you see. Even here, I'm sorry, yeah, all these you can see. Okay, these also see, remember these calcifications are also seen. Okay, now all this is about asbestosis. The next disorder is, here you can see beryllium. So this is the beryllium, that is berylliosis. Okay, here in beryllium you can see, even here you see the this berylliosis actually resembles the sarcoidosis. It's difficult to distinguish the difference between berylliosis and sarcoidosis. Here you see central histiocytes which are seen, and these are surrounded by many multinucleated giant cells. All these are many multinucleated giant cells, and these are again surrounded by these lymphocytes. So you have three, actually it's like three layered structure. I'll draw you the layer again. See, this is one layer which contains the histiocytes, and you have multinucleated giant cells, and you have surrounding lymphocytes. Okay, so this is seen in berylliosis. And if you see the multinucleated giant cells, just look at them, you can see this is the giant cell with multiple nuclei. All these are multinucleated giant cells which you see here. Then what are you going to see here? Here this is again a beryllium chest x-ray of a beryllium worker, so you see this, what is this? This is hilar lymphadenopathy, and you are also seeing this reticular opacities which are seen all over the chest x-ray, is suggestive of any type of interstitial lung disease, which can be occupational history will be there. So based on the history you can come to the diagnosis as occupational lung diseases. Then here you can see okay, we will see even the extra things. Okay, not just by this we have done with normal things. These are abnormal things, like we have Koelin pneumoconiosis. In this Koelin pneumoconiosis, here it mainly occurs due to aluminum silicate. Okay, here also you are seeing these masses of tissues which are seen. All this, remembering all this is not necessary, just for an idea I am just giving them. Okay, so you have kaolin or aluminum silicate resulting in these opacities which are seen. Okay, if you see microscopically, you see many dust laden macrophages. So all these are dust laden macrophages which are seen in the alveoli. Then we have one more thing which is called as mixed dust pneumoconiosis. So what are you going to see in this mixed dust pneumoconiosis? Here you see lots of fibrosis. See, all this is fibrosis, and these pigments, black colored pigments, what is this black colored pigments? All these, this black colored pigments is nothing but carbon dioxide or iron, you know, or metals. Okay, deposits of carbon dioxide or iron or silica which are seen. So it is most common in welders or oxyacetylene or torch cutters, it can be seen. Then this is hard metal disease. So this is mainly the cobalt pneumoconiosis. It is also a type of giant cell interstitial pneumoconiosis. Okay, where these are the giant cells which you can see. One more giant cells, where did I show you the giant cells in pneumoconiosis? Giant cell pneumoconiosis is also seen in beryllium, right? So here this is also a giant cell pneumoconiosis which is seen. Here it occurs, this hard metal disease actually occurs due to the response of cobalt which is used in for fusing tungsten carbide or diamond dust. Okay, this is hard metal disease. Then we have one more which is called as cadmium injury. What are you going to see in cadmium injury? Cadmium inhalation results in this cadmium injury, where there is mainly the metaplasia of alveolar epithelium. So here what are you seeing here? Here you are seeing metaplasia of alveolar epithelium. So this is cadmium injury which you are seeing. This is a periodic acid skip stain positive material which is clogged in the tube. So this is the alveoli, but here see in the, so this is one alveoli, this is other alveoli. Okay, so there is metaplasia has occurred, and if you see what is present inside the alveoli, you can see something, right? I'll just zoom in. You'll see something which is present in this alveoli, pink colored, right? So these clogged metal type things present in the alveoli with this alveolar metastasis which occurs, metaplasia which occurs, is most specific of cadmium injury. Then after cadmium injury, then we also have other injuries, like this is Fuller's earth pneumoconiosis. Remember, there is no need to remember all this. The only thing which you have to definitely remember is asbestosis, silicosis, then you have to know silicotuberculosis, coal workers pneumoconiosis, berylliosis. So all these 5 you should remember. So this is Fuller's earth pneumoconiosis, where you see these deposits of grease or wool which are seen here. Okay, then this is important. Okay, here you see this is called as, this is pulmonary pneumocystis. Fine, this one, this is important, this picture. Okay, what is this? This has been asked once, which is graphite pneumoconiosis. So what is this graphite pneumoconiosis? Here you have this black pigment material particles which are seen, all these in the alveoli. See, this is the macrophage. Okay, in this macrophage you are able to see these black materials. So what are these? So these are black material macrophages which are seen, and this is graphite pneumoconiosis. Okay, with alveolar macrophages. Then what is, so those are the pictures from Netters. Now these are the pictures from Robbins. So here you see ferruginous bodies which are seen. So these are the ferruginous bodies. See, these are the dumbbell shaped ferruginous bodies which are due to asbestosis. Okay, now what is this? This is an X-ray of pneumoconiosis. What does this show? See, here there is calcification. This part, see this calcification. See, this part is a little more whiter when compared to this part, right? So this part is a little whiter than this compared to this part. So obviously there is calcified. So see this white and this white is similar. So this is nothing but bone, right? Humerus bone. So because of this white and this white is similar, so obviously it is something related to calcium in it. So this is calcification, that is pleural plaque calcification is seen here. Okay, this is a picture of pneumoconiosis. Then in this picture you can see pleural fibrous plaques. So these are the plaques which are seen, pleural plaques which are seen. Okay, next, what is this? These are the pleural fibrous plaques. which you are seeing here, see all these is fibrous tissue which you are seeing here. The whole this part is fibrous tissue. Okay, and this, what is this? This is the lung tissue, normal lung tissue. This is the fibrotic tissue. This is normal lung, this is fibrotic tissue. Where is this pleural fibrous plaque present? It can be present in asbestosis most commonly, and sometimes even in coal workers pneumoconiosis also you can see this. See, this is the coal workers pneumoconiosis, where you can see this blackish things, all these blackish deposits. Okay, this is called as a pigmentation. This is given a name for this pigmentation, which is called as anthracotic pigmentation, which is seen. Okay, that is coal workers pneumoconiosis. See, silicosis. This is the clear picture, clearer than the one which I have from Netters. So this is the nodule which is seen. Okay, this is the collagenous thing which is seen, and this is full is inflammation. So this here in the middle you see the necrosis which occurs. So this is microscopically for silicosis, where you see many silicotic nodule. This is a silicotic nodule. Okay, and it has collagen and surrounding inflammatory reactions. Then what are you going to see here? These are pneumoconiosis which are seen in the radiograph. This is also pneumoconiosis with many infiltrates in the mostly upper and middle lobe. Then here you see silica crystals. Okay, so these are the silica crystals. Actually, what is this microscopy picture? This is a polarized light microscope which shows pneumoconiosis, and which is mainly the silica crystals are seen. They are actually bright white polarizable crystals. See, all these bright white polarizable crystals which are seen, these are the silica crystals which are seen in silicosis. It is polarized light microscopy. Now what is this? This is called as Begasosis. So see, what is he doing? It is a hypersensitivity type of pneumonitis. I have been dealt with hypersensitivity pneumonitis yet, but in the next class we will deal with it. So this is Begasosis, which is hypersensitivity pneumonitis, which shows where there is thermophilic organisms which show moldy Begas. Okay, here this mainly occurs due to the bacteria which is Thermoactinomyces saccari. This bacteria Thermoactinomyces saccari results in this Begasosis. Okay, so what is this? This is the bacteria which is Thermoactinomyces saccari bacteria, which you are seeing here. Okay, here this is a precipitation reaction which occurs in Begasosis, not that important. Yeah, this is what is important here in the high power micro. See, this is the alveoli. Along the alveolar wall, see, this is the alveoli, right? This is one more alveoli. So this is one, this is the alveoli. Along the alveolar wall, this alveolar wall is thickened, and in this alveolar wall you are seeing this infiltrate, right? So alveolar wall infiltrates are present. So there are alveolar walls are thickened, and you see infiltrates of plasma cells and leukocytes also. So these are the plasma cells and leukocytes which you see inside. See, you have, these are the macrophages with vacuolated cytoplasm, and this is present in the alveolar space, and this alveoli is also thickened with many infiltrates present in the alveolar thickened wall also. Okay, next we have learnt about all the pictures. Now let us see the main content. Okay, it just takes 5 to 10 minutes, just a minute. So if you see, this is the silicosis which you are seeing. What is silicosis? What is the other name given for silicosis? Silicosis is also called as Naif-Grinder's disease. Okay, Naif-Grinder's lung. So this silicosis, it is most commonly occurs in there are two different types of silicosis. One, we have crystalline type of silicosis, and the other we have amorphous type of silicosis. Crystalline type of silicosis shows more fibrosis, whereas amorphous type of silicosis shows less fibrosis. So this silica can be free silica or crystalline silica. Now what actually happens here? I have already told you, this silica, which is a metal, right? This silica is present in many industries. Uses silica, especially all the computer industries and all the automobiles have silica particles in them. So in all those industries where silica is used, in them these silica escape out due to the process of high machinery process, and due to any process, this silica particles are seen in the air. So this silica containing air, whenever the person inhales this silica containing air, then this silica is reaches the lungs, enters the lungs, and it reaches the alveoli. In the alveoli, the silica is taken up by the macrophages. These macrophages will take up silica, they will engulf the silica. But before macrophage actually starts, first whenever the silica particle enters the lung, it starts a mild inflammatory reaction. This mild inflammatory reaction will lead to the activation of lymphocytes. These lymphocytes will then activate the formation of macrophages. Okay, these macrophages will produce interleukin 1, and these interleukin 1 will cause fibroblast proliferation. And these macrophages also causes necrosis, which is deposited as necrotic silica nodules. Okay, this silica sometimes it is also transported through the blood to the lymph nodes, okay, which is hilar lymph nodes most commonly, and that is the reason why especially the subpleural lymph nodes through the subpleural or interlobar lymphatic, sorry, not hematogenous route, through the subpleural or interlobar lymphatics, it goes to regional lymph nodes. So as a result, there will be hilar lymphadenopathy. Not only hilar lymphadenopathy, even you can see other types of lymphadenopathy associated with silica. So because of that, you see fibrotic nodules more commonly in the upper lobe. I have shown you the nodules, how they look, right? And they have the collagen, and see, they have collagen and they have macrophages also, which are dust laden macrophages, and collagen are present in this silicosis, right? Then you have silicosis can be divided into mainly the 3 different types of silicosis. One, you can call it as simple silicosis. What does simple silicosis actually have? So this simple silicosis has only the rounded opacities are present, okay, that too seen in the upper lobe most commonly. Whereas the second type is complication, is calcification of lymph nodes. That too most commonly hilar lymph nodes are calcified. This calcification of hilar lymph nodes in the lungs is seen in the chest X-ray. Okay, why is it seen in chest X-ray? Normally the lymph nodes are not visible on X-ray, but here in this silicosis you can visualize these hilar lymph nodes in the X-ray. What is the reason for visualizing this hilar lymph nodes in X-ray? Because these hilar lymph nodes are actually become calcified. So because of the calcification, you can visualize these hilar lymph nodes. So hilar lymph nodes calcification is an important process which occurs. Then later in the HRCT also you can see this calcification, and this type of calcification in hilar lymph nodes is called as eggshell calcification. Then along with that, we have one more type of silicosis which is called as complicated silicosis. What is complicated silicosis? In complicated silicosis, many nodules, small nodules will combine together to form one large irregular mass which is more than 1 centimeter in diameter, and this is called as complicated silicosis. Okay, then we have one more type which is called as progressive massive fibrosis. Slowly as the days progresses, as the disease progresses, you can see these masses or nodules which are there, these enlarge and they might spread to the whole lung, involving the whole lung, and slowly fibrotic process also gets activated. This activation of fibrotic process causes fibrosis of the whole lung, leading to honeycomb pattern or massive fibrosis of whole lung. So in silica, if you see, this silica is actually cytotoxic to alveolar macrophages. Remember, if you remember, in the Mycobacterium tuberculosis, in the pathogenesis of Mycobacterium tuberculosis, the one of the most important cell which is important in providing resistance to Mycobacterium tuberculosis is macrophages, because these macrophages will engulf the Mycobacterium tuberculosis bacteria. But here what is happening? Here this silica is also engulfed by this silica particle is also engulfed by the macrophage, and these macrophages are actually destroyed here, leading to necrosis. But because of that, the macrophages which are present in our body are decreased, or they are degraded, and as a result these Mycobacterium tuberculosis or atypical mycobacteria, they are more easily enter into our body, thus causing tuberculosis. So whenever this silicosis is associated with tuberculosis, a new name is given, a new term is given to them, that is silicotuberculosis. Okay, I have shown you the pictures of polarizing birefringent microscope also, which shows birefringent silica particles. Okay, then obviously in pulmonary pattern most of these are restrictive diseases except one. Okay, all these are restrictive lung diseases. Okay, next after we have learnt about the asbestosis, now let us learn about coal workers pneumoconiosis. So what are you going to see in coal workers pneumoconiosis? Even here the pathogenesis is almost similar to the pathogenesis of silicosis. Even here, whenever the person works in coal mines or coal industry, the particles will enter into the lungs, and in the lungs these are engulfed by the macrophages in the lungs, and these coal dust particles which are engulfed, the macrophage cannot degrade these coal dust particles because they are not bacteria, they are not viruses, or they are not any organic material which can be degraded by the enzymes produced by macrophages. Because of that, the macrophage itself undergoes necrosis, and these coal particles or any of the pneumoconiotic particles are deposited in our lungs. That is the reason why you see these nodules, these depositions, these degraded pigmentations which are seen in the lung. So here in coal workers pneumoconiosis, it can be divided into three major types. Among them, two are very important. So one is simple coal workers pneumoconiosis. This simple coal workers pneumoconiosis occurs in early age group. That means if he or she, if that person has actually recently joined in these coal mines or coal industry, then this simple coal workers pneumoconiosis will get. And this simple coal workers pneumoconiosis, in this there are two major types of pathognomic features are seen, which are called as coal macules and coal nodules. What is coal macules? Coal macules are actually they are less than 5 centimeters and they are distributed throughout the lung. That is true. What are you going to see in this coal macules? Okay, in this coal macules you see aggregation of dust laden macrophages are seen in this coal macules. And if you see histology, you will also see black pigmentation in the both in the lung, in the pleural areas, and also in the lymph nodes. Okay, then the second type is complicated coal workers pneumoconiosis. Okay, even here in simple coal workers pneumoconiosis, you will also see the coal nodules. Okay, which part of lung is most commonly involved? See, in silicosis I have said upper part of lung is most commonly involved. Then in this coal workers pneumoconiosis, which part of lung is most commonly involved? Even in this, if you see, the upper lobe of lung is most commonly involved than the lower lobes. Okay, next if you see in the complicated coal workers pneumoconiosis, you see presence of nodules mainly. Now what does this nodules consists of? Macules, I said they are mainly the aggregates of macrophages. Fine. Then what does nodules consists of? Nodules are mainly the aggregates of macrophages along with the collagen. Macrophages plus collagen are seen in the coal nodules. Okay, then we have one more thing which is called as progressive massive fibrosis. So what are we going to see in this progressive massive fibrosis? Here you will see macules and nodules also, but here the centimeters is more. It is more than 2 centimeters in diameter. See, macules are mostly 0.5 centimeters in diameter, whereas nodules are around 1 centimeter in diameter. These macules and nodules which are present more than 2 centimeters of diameter are mainly present in progressive massive fibrosis. Okay, and where is it seen? Obviously, as I have said, it is present in mainly the upper part of the lung. And here you see fibrotic lesion with dense collagen and also black pigmentation. As I have already shown in the picture, you can see the black pigmentation, and even the respiratory bronchiole and the vessels are thickened and dilated alveoli are also seen. Then the last type, which is called as Kaplan syndrome or rheumatoid pneumoconiosis. Okay, this is seen both in coal workers pneumoconiosis and also in silicosis also. Here, as I have already shown you the pictures, here you see round form nodules with central fibrinoid necrosis. Okay, this is an obstructive pattern. Look at it. If you remember, the silicosis is a restrictive pattern, right? But here this coal workers pneumoconiosis is an obstructive pattern. Then we are actually dealing with one minute. This I'll tell you at the end. Okay, the next disorder is asbestosis. Okay, so what are we going to see in asbestosis? What are the types of asbestos materials which are present? We have chrysolite, amosite, anthophyllin, and crocidolite. So we have crocidolite. So we have 4 different types of asbestos, that is chrysolite, amosite, anthophyllin, and crocidolite. Okay, whenever there is overexposure of asbestos, these asbestos will enter into these are actually incites an inflammatory reaction. This inflammatory reaction will activate the macrophages, and these macrophages come to the site of asbestos particles, and they engulf the asbestos particles, and this leads to the formation of asbestos laden macrophages. So what does this asbestos laden macrophages means? This means that if this is the this means that if this is the macrophage which is present, inside this macrophage you can see the asbestos granules or crystals are seen inside this macrophage. So these are asbestos laden macrophages. These asbestos laden macrophages will activate the interleukin 1, and this interleukin 1 will activate fibroblast proliferation. Okay, so because it activates fibroblast proliferation, there is many macrophages, and these macrophages are again surrounded by the fibrosis. Okay, and inside these macrophages you can see presence of Prussian blue colored asbestos bodies which are actually dumbbell in shape. I have already shown you the picture of asbestos bodies, right? You see beaded dumbbell shaped asbestos bodies, and these asbestos bodies are actually seen in Prussian blue stain. Okay, interleukin 1 is the one which is important here. So sometimes these asbestos bodies are also seen on the pleura. When they are seen on the pleural surface, then we call it as pleural plaque, and it is most commonly seen in anterolateral or bilateral part of parietal pleura. Okay, so this is about the asbestosis. Then what are the manifestations of asbestosis? This is important. Asbestosis in the pulmonary, it can cause 2 things in the lung. One, it can cause non-malignant lesions. Second, it can cause malignant lesions. In the non-malignant lesions, it causes diffuse interstitial fibrosis, whereas if it is malignant lesions, it causes bronchogenic carcinoma. Okay, then if it is pleural in the asbestosis, pleural in the pleura, it causes again 2 types. If it is non-malignant, it causes pleural plaque or diffuse pleural reaction thickening, or sometimes pleural effusion, as I have shown you, whereas in the malignant it causes mesothelioma. We will learn about this mesothelioma and bronchogenic carcinoma in the coming classes. Then we have chest x-ray. When we do chest x-ray, you can see the pleural plaques, you can see opacities. Okay, all those. Remember one thing, this is most important. So this asbestosis is actually a lower limb lesion, lower lung. It activates the lower lobe of lung. It is most commonly seen in lower lobe of the lung. See, silicosis and coal workers pneumoconiosis are seen in the upper lobe, but here the opacities are mainly in the lower lung fields. That is one clue which can give you when you get the chest x-ray picture, because all these pneumoconiosis look almost alike in chest x-ray picture. Then if you see HRCT, in the HRCT you see subpleural curvilinear lines are seen. Okay, next you have one more lesion, one more occupational disease which is called as chronic beryllium disease. So what are we going to see in chronic beryllium disease? This chronic beryllium disease is also an acute pneumonitis or chronic granulomatous disease. Okay, the only way to diagnose this chronic beryllium disease is doing this beryllium lymphocyte proliferation test. So what is this beryllium lymphocyte proliferation test? See, in our body, in our blood, we don't have beryllium salts. We have very minimum amount of beryllium salt or negligible amount of beryllium salt in our blood, right? So in the lymphocytes, okay, these beryllium gets attached to the lymphocyte, right? All these coal or asbestos or silica particles, all these are engulfed by macrophages, right? So similarly, beryllium is engulfed or it is seen in the lymphocytes. So as a result, we will do one thing. We will take the lymphocytes from the blood. That is one. Then we will take the lymphocytes from the bronchoalveolar lavage. Bronchoalveolar lavage lymphocytes are those lymphocytes which are present in the alveoli. Right, in the alveoli, the exudate which is present in the alveoli, it contains lymphocytes, or the alveolar wall, if we scrape it off, we will get some lymphocytes. Okay, we will take the lymphocytes from the bronchoalveolar lavage, and we will also take the lymphocytes from the blood, and we will compare both of them with beryllium salts for beryllium salts. How are we going to look at the beryllium salts? We can't do microscopy and actually look at the beryllium salts, right? It's difficult to identify them. So we actually take the radio labeled thiamine, okay, and we will give it to both of them, both of the specimens, one from the blood and one from the bronchoalveolar lavage lymphocytes, and you will see the proliferation, lymphocytic proliferation is measured, okay, and you will see the radio labeling if there is beryllium. Okay, if there is beryllium in the alveolar lavage, then this beryllium will get stained by this radio labeled thymidine, and you can see the radioactivity which you see. So then you can diagnose this beryllium to be present in our in the patient's bronchoalveolar lavage, and thus you can diagnose the person has berylliosis, suffering from berylliosis. So that is one way. And you can also do chest x-ray. When you do chest x-ray, you see the nodules. Okay, lymphocytes you will see from you see the proliferation of lymphocytes from blood and also from the bronchoalveolar lavage. Okay, that is by radioactive thymidine. So this is something which you have to remember. Then you can do chest x-ray. If you do chest x-ray, you will see nodules which are seen along the septal lines. Then you also have to do fiber optic bronchoscopy with transbronchial lung biopsy is also done. So when you do fiber optic bronchoscopy with transbronchial lung biopsy, you will see two things. One, you see non-caseating granuloma or monocyte infiltration, and also you will see specific CD4 cells infiltration, which is characteristic feature. Then what is important here you will see one more thing. You will see that it is associated with HLA-DP alleles and also glutamic acid in position 69. Okay, then that is about berylliosis. Then there are also some external general environment exposure can also lead to this diseases, okay, occupational lung diseases, that is especially outdoor air pollution. In outdoor air pollution also you can see these occupational lung diseases which are seen. Okay, so in them sulfur dioxide or nitrous oxide is also one, and we have something called as smog which is seen in Los Angeles. Even this is one of the outdoor air pollution. Then I have shown you the last picture, which is byssinosis. Sorry, I didn't show you any picture for byssinosis. What is byssinosis? Byssinosis is cotton dust pneumoconiosis. Even this is an occupational lung disease, but here the problem is not from chemicals. It's not any metal, it's not any type of organic or inorganic matter, but here the main problem is in the cotton dust. Okay, the persons working in cotton industry like flax, hemp or jute dust, any of these cotton dusts, he will suffer from this cotton dust or byssinosis. There is one type of name which is given to this, which is called as Monday chest tightness. We call something called as Monday chest tightness. What is this Monday chest tightness? See, he'll go in, so today is Saturday, think that today is Saturday, and today everything is fine the whole week from Tuesday to Saturday. Okay, he went to work, he is completely normal, asymptomatic. He takes rest on Sunday because Sunday is a holiday, so he does not go to work. Then on Monday, when he goes to work, when he tries to go to work on Monday, he suffers from chest tightness on Monday. Okay, then again goes to work, and again after a day or two all this chest tightness will decrease, and again he is asymptomatic. So this that is becoming symptomatic or having chest tightness at the time, that is during Monday or the first day of work, is called as Monday chest tightness. Okay, that is towards the end of first day of work, when he has this chest tightness, then we call it as Monday chest tightness. Okay. Initially, this chest tightness will only be present on one day. Slowly it progresses slowly to 2 days, 3 days, and slowly it progresses in such an extent that this chest tightness will be present throughout the week. And after 10 years, you can see obstructive pattern of respiratory pulmonary function tests. Okay, then how are you going to treat it? Treatment is you should ask them to decrease the dust exposure. Then sometimes even there is grain dust which is sometimes exposed. Okay, then next is farmer's lungs. There is nothing more to remember about farmer's lung, but it is also called as mouldy hay, and you should remember the name of the organism, that is Thermophilic actinomycetes is the organism which is responsible for this farmer's lung. Okay, so farmer's lung is an acute disease. So here once the patient is exposed, then the patient after 4 to 5 hours of exposure, he develops the symptoms of fever, cough or malaise, okay, dyspnea or wheeze. That is farmer's lung. Then you have one more thing which is called as, which is due to toxic chemicals. See, there are some toxic chemicals like Teflon or fluorochlorocarbons, okay, or exposure to fumes or zinc oxide. When there is exposure to fumes or smoke with zinc oxide, we call it as we gave it a name, that is called as metal fume fever. Okay, whenever there is exposure to fumes or smoke with zinc oxide, we call it metal fume fever. This is self-limiting influenza like syndrome. Okay, so you see these two. So what is actually happening in Teflon? First, in whenever there is Teflon is a polymer, fluoropolymer. Okay, at normal temperatures this Teflon has no reaction at normal temperature. Everything is normal. Okay, the person is normal, there is no issue at all. But on heating, once you heat it, that is when you actually see the reaction. On heating, this Teflon is volatilized. What is volatilized? Volatilized is converting into an evaporation. It converts into vaporized form. Just like kerosene. Kerosene, when you heat it, or petrol, kerosene, or any of the oil, if you heat it, it gets vaporized, right? So similarly, this Teflon also gets vaporized. Okay, and these fumes, if you inhale, then you will get something called as polymer fume fever. On inhalation of those fumes, we have polymer fume fever, where there is chills and rigors, fever and wheeze are seen. Okay, then there is one more thing, which is whenever there is exposure to fumes and also smoke with zinc oxide, then we have a fever called as metal fume fever. This metal fume fever will begin several hours after work and resolves within 24 hours. Remember, it will resolve within 24 hours. This is one thing which is important. Okay. Yep. So this is about the pneumoconiosis. So thank you guys for watching my lecture. Thank you.